everybody. Welcome to the weekly Baseball Brew Crew Podcast. We're keeping baseball history alive, one craft beer at a time. Wherever you are watching or listening to us, please give us a like and a follow. And if you love beer with your baseball, please tell a friend. Here is the lineup card for today. Our field correspondent and senior research analyst at the Baseball Brew Crew, Kevin Lynn, is on assignment. He is in Canada, and he is actually at a Toronto Blue Jays game right as we speak. This is his second game. They're playing the Giants tonight, and he will have a full report next week. He's actually sitting right in front of AEW superstars, including Gwinnett Stripers or Gwinnett Braves. I think he was the announcer for Tony Schiavone. Crazy to think that Tony Schiavone actually, he's more known for his wrestling announcing, but I remember that's where he started. I remember he started in minor league baseball, and I think after WCW, he also went back to baseball, and he has a very vast baseball knowledge, and I'm hoping that Kevin takes the advantage of it and asks him to come on the show. There's also Bryce Remsburg, who also is a big baseball craft beer fan, so hopefully we can get them on the show. So Kevin is doing some hobnobbing in Toronto as we speak.
Kid's a superstar. If he doesn't give Schiavone the office and have him join in on the show, we're gonna have a performance review.
Exactly. You know, we don't demand much here at the Baseball Brew Crew, but we do encourage our employees to take advantage of every opportunity when it comes to craft beer or baseball to rope them in, get them in, let's get them involved, right?
Absolutely, sir.
All right. Well, it is just the two of us tonight. Let me give my partner a formal introduction here. He is the Goodwill Ambassador. He is the Sultan of Swig at the Baseball Brew Crew. It is Cowboy Jack Durango, looking good as always.
On the show again. I just can't wait to get on the show again. The life I love is drinking brewskis with my friend, and I can't wait to get on the show again. Woo! Welcome to the Tuesday night spectacular Baseball Brew Crew. You're welcome, everyone.
Let him hear it. Yes!
Love it. Thank you for being here tonight. It's Tuesday night. There's baseball going on. It's a casual night. It is just the two of us. Kevin is not bringing his last second energy here, but he is going to be on the show. How about that? He's actually going to be on the show tonight because he's a trooper. He's a trooper.
What is this sorcery that you speak of? Is the Magic Man going to somehow make an appearance tonight?
He's going to make an appearance on this show no matter what. And we'll get to that in our next segment. My name is Michael Mondragon, your humble host for the festivities tonight. As always, we always bring a unique craft beer to review and enjoy. So what craft beer are you drinking tonight? I'm going to actually tell what Kevin Lynn, he's actually next week, he's going to run down his hopping around in Canada. One of the breweries that he went to was Left Field Brewing in Toronto. You can see him there. He got his first game little card there. But yeah, he has a lot of beer and baseball. He's making some great rounds. In fact, he's making some stops at some places that we've talked about on this podcast that we didn't think it was possible to get to. So he's actually going to do it. He actually went to the off topic. He went to the Canadian Hall of Fame, went to a lot of wrestling. The Hockey Hall of Fame, that is. And so could he make another Hall of Fame appearance? I don't know. Tune in next week because we're going to find out. But Jack, I'm going to go to your beer. You actually have a really good one that you were talking about this weekend on our chat. I can't wait to hear more about it now.
My craft beer for tonight is the Hazy Angel IPA, which is a New England style hazy IPA brewed by Lumberyard Brewing Company, located in scenic Flagstaff, Arizona. It's a 6.7% ABV and a 75 IBU. So an easy drinker. It's brewed in the New England style. This hazy IPA is unfiltered and made with late edition hops to bring lots of flavor and aroma, but without the bite of the traditional American style West Coast IPA. Hazy Angel is made with Eldorado and Citra hops, giving it notes of peach and tropical fruit flavor. And guys, Michael, I got to tell you, this is the second IPA in a row that I've had that has given off peach flavors. And I am a fan. Jackie want more peach IPAs because it is such a compliment to the tropical fruit, the bite of an IPA. And as stated earlier, it's brewed in that New England style, so it's not as hoppy. So this is, if you hear me ranting and raving about hazy IPAs and you've never had one, this is a tried and true great entryway into a hazy IPA. And the peach notes, my friend, you got to try it.
Yeah. I mean, I always will try something with peach, and it reminds me how much I love peaches. And if you haven't had a peach, if you haven't had like a great fresh strawberry recently, like do yourself a favor and find them, because, and especially like in beer, because I think that like lemon and other citrus type of additives, I'll for lack of a better word,
sure,
they're great. They're super good, and when they're done well, they're awesome. But peach is such an underrated version of it, and you don't see it as much as you really should. Probably, and I would expect, because it might be hard to balance the beer with, a peach, because I don't know. I feel like if one could override the other potentially, but if it's balanced perfectly, oh my God, I said I can taste this beer just by looking at it.
Yes, brother, it is. Yeah, I was at the local grocery store picking up something, and I just happened to see the Lumberyard Brewing Company logo, so I ran over and grabbed it. Very reasonably priced, a sixer for $10. I mean, that's 2 beers, right? Mm-hmm. And it didn't mention, I just saw hazy, so I grabbed it, and it didn't mention anything about the peach flavor. And I looked it up on Untapped before I tried it, and all it mentioned was the tropical fruit flavor. So I'm thinking, perfect, right up my alley. I love a tropical hazy. But once I had it, and this is why I love being part of this community, is I've refined my palate to where it's like, oh no, that's got some of this in there. And guys, it's a winner, dude. It is a winner. You want to do yard work out in Arizona all day on a Saturday and then crack one of these guys at the end of the day, man, it's a treat. Another one on the list for our trip up north that is going to happen someday, because they're right in Flagstaff, which is one of the most beautiful places in Arizona to begin with. And the other cool thing I do want to shout out to Lumberyard Brewing is every product they sell helps support American river conservation. So they're very socially community minded, and they know that with here in Arizona, if we don't have those rivers flowing, there's a lot of people in trouble. And so they do their part to help conserve water and protect water in Arizona. So cheers, Lumberyard. That's a baller move, as the children say.
Yeah. Lumberyard is one that I remember, I think at Chase, when I went to Chase Field in Phoenix, I believe that they had some Lumberyard Brewing Company beers. Potentially, I'm thinking more maybe like Grand Canyon Brewing is another one that's up there.
Grand Canyon Brewing is another one up there. Yeah, it might have been Grand Canyon that you're thinking of. They've got a big infiltration down here. I'm gonna just give you some of Lumberyard's brewskis. I'll read a little list here and see if any of them ring a bell. I think I do know which one it is, but they have the Hazy Angel IPA, the Flagstaff IPA.
That's one, yeah.
The Railhead Red.
Yes, okay.
I know you've seen that one.
Yes, for sure.
Humphreys Hef, which they're Hefeweizen.
Okay.
And then they have a First Light Lager.
Okay. Yeah, the first two for sure that I definitely recognize. So
yeah, the Railhead Red, now that I see the can, I have seen that a lot down here as well. So
yeah, and I have a friend, my friend Kevin, that usually gifts me a lot of Arizona beers. That's always in there, so that's how I know it as well. Yeah, for sure.
You know what? They serve it at the Botanical Gardens, so that's where I remember having it, was at the Botanical Gardens.
Culture.
Yeah. Look, not just a pretty face, y'all. Not just a pretty face. I know stuff. I got smarts.
Yes, I had it at an art gallery opening.
Well, so in December they do lights in the botanical garden, and you can go around. They also have, indigenous music performances and some lessons on succulents and cactus that do well in the Arizona environment. So as a way to conserve water, I think we should all plant more cactus.
Okay. I'm in.
I learned that at the botanical gardens when I was drinking a Lumberyard Brewing Company beer. So beer takes you amazing places.
It does.
It took me to a jail cell in Korea, but then also to a lecture on succulents at the Arizona Botanical Gardens. So you never know which way you're going to end up when you're partying with old Charlie Guzzle.
Yes, you've run the gamut of, definitely the spectrum of of distance between two things that you can drink beer to.
I've drank beer out of a plastic jug.
Okay.
With a sealed top.
Okay.
It was sold in plastic jugs. It's called OB in Korea. It's Oriental Brewery. Okay. And it's not served in glasses or cans. A plastic jug like a juice would come in.
Sure.
I mean, it's a Korean beer, and I went to jail in Korea, so 1 + 1 = 2. It's a rough beer. It's a rough one, brother.
As they say, any port in a storm, right?
Yes, sir.
It's all good. It's all good. Well, thank you for sharing that. That is awesome. Can't wait to have one of these. My beer for tonight is actually a second time that I've had this. This is the second week in a row I've had Smog City beer. My beer for tonight is the Smogberry IPA, a collaboration between Smog City Brewing Company and El Segundo Brewing Company. This is a new school version of the El Segundo Brewing's classic Mayberry IPA with additions of Equinaut and experimental HBC 586 hops, a stone cold stunner of a 7% West Coast IPA that rips out the glass with punchy floral dankness and a huge notes of berry, melon, and jackfruit. The one thing I noticed about this beer in particular, now I love the Mayberry IPA. It is from El Segundo, and it's super smooth. As far as if I were to give somebody a West Coast IPA, the Mayberry IPA, I know would be a good representation of what a West Coast IPA is. It's great brewery, great taste, super easy drinking. The thing I noticed about this beer in particular, so I thought it would be kind of similar. Actually, it's kind of dissimilar. It's almost like a session.
Really?
Yeah, it's almost like a session IPA. It's even though I believe that it's 7% ABV, but it tastes like a little bit less. And it's a little bit like more crisp and easy drinking, I think.
Really? Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a really cool reflection on two awesome breweries, Smog City and El Segundo. They have a winner, and instead of just tweaking it a little bit, it looks like they started from scratch to make a creation together. And that's what collab should be all about. So great.
Yeah. Yeah. And this beer in particular was supposed to be released, I believe, in 2021. They're both celebrating their 10-year anniversaries, but since of COVID, it got pushed back. So 4 years later, after they were supposed to release it, or brew it at least, now it comes out. So this is, again, it's when I saw this, I'm like, I'm in two great breweries that I'm a big fan of. So it's definitely a winner. And like I said, I had a beer from Smog City last week. Have another one. I could have had another one. They actually had another collaboration between El Segundo and Smog City, and it's not quite my style. Although I might take a picture of it and do something with it. But it looks interesting, and I think it's there's I believe Smog City has one. It's like if Kevin was here, he'd know which one I'm talking about. It's like a saber-toothed squirrel or something like that, or something. It's a really unique name. It has squirrel in it. So this one was a squirrel kind of reference with El Segundo, but it wasn't my style. And I'm more into the West Coast IPAs, the IPA just in general, but definitely wanted to bring this one. It's really, really super easy drinking. So definitely one to.
So what kind of berries do you get? What's the flavors?
Well, it just says berry. You're right, and so the berries would probably be. I don't think it's supposed to be a specific berry. I think it's just like berry, just in general, like not like cranberry and the strawberry. Those are specific berries, but I think more of a kind of a berry-ish type of flavor. Not a specific berry itself. But the melon is definitely the smooth part of it. The jackfruit is actually kind of like a little bit of kind of where it kind of gives a little bit of punch. But
listen, I'm going to love anything with jackfruit. When you have a fruit named after you, it's an honor, you know? So, you know, I'll go for it just for the jackfruit, but and I mean the art on the can is beautiful. Smog City's logo is one of my favorite logos I've ever seen.
Yeah,
that's such a cool logo. And I was seeing the blue on the can, and I was hoping blueberries would be the answer.
Not so much, but yeah, I can definitely see where that could be a little bit. Now, but yeah, it's not. It's just more berry-ish.
Do you think blueberries would work with an IPA?
Oh heck yeah. Okay, so when I first started getting into the kind of the beer and baseball, I actually went to Fenway Park.
Okay.
And right behind Fenway Park was it was a brew pub, but I think it was a brewer, and I think it's Boston Beer Works. I don't even think it's there anymore. It was one of the first places that I went to, and they actually had a beer. And my girlfriend was super. I mean, when she does her craft beer research, it's intense. So she goes, right behind Fenway Park, there's a brew pub, and we have to go there because they have a IPA, but they put blueberries in it.
Ooh.
Literally like blueberries out of the case or whatever, the carton. They put it in there, and the blueberries would go up and down in the beer from the carbonation. So it would again, you could taste it throughout the beer and stuff like that. And I'm like, of course, it blew my mind. I go, yes, this is amazing. And that's what they were known for.
Now, what about frozen blueberry?
That's interesting. I never thought about that.
I think I've got a new party favor, my friend.
I think you might want to test that, because my girlfriend's father puts the peanuts in the beer.
Yes,
and that's like a thing too. And I it's nothing that I understand why people do it, but it's
because it's Budweiser. Like, you need to have a flavor that doesn't taste like somebody's foot. So yeah, you throw some olives in there, maybe some peanuts. I've been there. I've done that.
Yeah. So I'm not a guy who like puts the orange in the blue moon and stuff like that. I like drinking the blue moon by itself.
Sure.
But yeah,
I'm gonna try the frozen blueberries and report back, man. Maybe we can do craft beer cocktails.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. That's definitely ambitious, and I know I'm so snobby now. I can't even drink. I don't even drink it out of the can. I have to drink it in a glass.
Right. So because of my association with you and my new beer snobbiness, I try not to drink a beer that hasn't been brewed within 100 miles of where I live.
Oh, look at you! Oh, man.
Yeah. Hence my focus on certain Arizona breweries.
Okay, perfect.
I'll make exceptions for Radiant, Toppling Goliath.
Yes,
small. I'll make exceptions for the true big boys out there, but I am gonna stick with a brew that has been in a 100-mile radius of where I live.
Look at you!
Beer
and
snob
room is like perfect for that, because they'll definitely help you out with that.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. Well, let's get to it. This is This Week in Baseball History. We're going to do July 4th through July 10th. So I'm going to start it out with July 4th, 1939. During Lou Gehrig Appreciation Day at Yankee Stadium, the Iron Horses uniform number 4 will be the first ever to be retired. Initially to move to speak, the emotional man of the hour changes his mind when skipper Joe McCarthy encourages him to speak, setting the stage for baseball's most iconic speech when he describes himself as the luckiest man on the face of the earth. Jack, did you know of this speech before you kind of got into baseball and stuff like that? Were you aware of this?
I was absolutely aware of this. I can hear the speech in my brain with the echo from the microphone. That it is such an iconic speech. Today, I consider the luckiest. It is such a beautiful moment of somebody just being grateful. And just one of the most iconic speeches of all time. Very succinct. The point was well communicated. So I did have prior knowledge of this. I did. Yes, sir.
Actually, I'm gonna do a little excerpt of it because he says, fans, for the past 2 weeks, you've been reading about the bad break I got. Yet today I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. I've been in ballparks for 17 years and have never received anything but kindness and encouragement from you fans. So, again, it's probably one of those like tearjerker moments when it's like, I can't imagine anybody doing it in this day and age, like just having that much guts to do what he did that day.
Absolutely. And to do it in such a classy and just humility and acceptance and coming from a place of gratitude. And men weren't allowed to have feelings back in 1939, but Lou Gehrig sure did make it okay.
Yeah, for sure. Kevin's going to do a bit of a run-in here. Although I'm going to preface it with this. Kevin, he's such a trooper, and he's definitely a team player. He was completely exhausted last night, but still wanted to be a part of this show. I'm going to play his This Day in Baseball. I might have to repeat it because it was a long day for him yesterday, but I'm going to play it anyway. I'm just going to give that, but yes, I'm going to do it right now. So here we go. Let's hear it for Kevin Lyon.
July 5th, 1993 at Cleveland, A's outfielder Rickey Henderson becomes the second player in Major League history to open both games of a doubleheader with a home run. In the 1913 Twin Bill played in Washington, Red Sox outfielder and future Hall of Famer Harry Hooper was the first to accomplish this feat.
Aww.
Yes. So he was definitely, yeah.
He is so precious. I mean, you can hear how tired he is, and
yes,
his voice is gone. He's got laryngitis over here. He's screaming at a wrestling show for 4 hours, and yes. What a trooper. Yeah. What a trooper. And of course he's got to come in and talk about Ricky.
Yes. Yes. Rickey Henderson is, it's kind of weird. I think of Rickey Henderson in like the 80s, but I forgot that he actually, played with them into the 90s and actually was on, I think this next year he was on Toronto because he might have even been on Toronto this year because I remember he's on one of their World Series teams. Yeah. So he might have been gone by even this year. It's funny. If Kevin was here, he'd be able to tell me.
He would know. He would absolutely know.
Yeah. Yeah. Ricky's this one. I mean, he's just one of those 80s players that, it's just next level type of player. And that actually, it goes back to like even this year with the expanded bases. It's actually brought back stolen bases, which I am super happy that stolen bases is back in the game because it creates so much fun in the game. And even like there's actually what they call a disengagement. So pitchers can only throw to the if a man is on first or second or whatever, they can only throw to the base twice.
Really?
So yeah, so like say they throw twice to keep them back. You don't have to do it again. So it actually puts the pressure on the pitcher to actually make the pitch and actually expands the game, I feel. So I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, man. Also, I'm despondent that Kevin is not joining us tonight because he would be so impressed that Cowboy Jack Durango knows that Rickey Henderson's nickname is the straw that stirs the drink, right?
Oh my God.
Because, no, wait, what? Ricky.
He is actually he has the one of the greatest names in all of baseball, the Man of Steel.
Wow. I don't know. It's kind of hard to beat Charlie Guzzle, but I'll take the Man of Steel. I'll give him the Man of Steel. Yes. All right, yes. Ricky. All right, I see you.
Yes.
Well, sure. Actually, now I'm glad that Kevin wasn't here for that epic failure.
I'm sure you'll see it in some form, but yes.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be good.
It is what it is. All right. So, Jack, you are up.
July 6th, 1983. On the Midsummer Classic's 50th anniversary, Fred Lynn hits the first grand slam in an all-star competition en route to their 13-3 victory for the American League. They also set a record for the runs scored by one team in a game, including a record 7-run third inning. The victory at Chicago's Comiskey Park, the site of the first ever All-Star game in 1933, halts the National League's 11-game win streak. Mr. Fred Lynn taking down an 11-game dynasty. Well done, sir.
Yeah, this is, I was actually, when I was doing the research on this game, of course, YouTube aggregated this game. You can watch on YouTube. So it is like, it was right there. And it just has a different feel to it. Vince Scully is doing the play-by-play for it. Just the people in this game. And it's funny because like the guy who's number 8 right there, Manny Trio, it's not a big name, but for that time, he was actually a very good player. And the pitcher that Fred Lynn hit it off of is Atlee Hamaker. He was actually pitching great at that time for the Giants. And just unfortunate, is actually more known for giving up that historic home run. Comiskey Park was just like at that time had that big exploding scoreboard, and it was just a different time in baseball, and just such a magical time. And
right. And speaking of number 8, Mr. Trillo, it brings up why I really love 80s baseball. Just so underrated. The uniforms.
Yes. And that's the thing about it is during that time in the early 80s, all of these baseball uniforms looked like softball uniforms. They had like all like the Tetris, like the Astros had like the Tetris. If you see like the bat, it's funny because this picture is very funny because I remember watching this home run on that YouTube video. All 3 of the White Sox bat boys a high five Fred Lynn as he comes in, and you'll never see that ever again. And he's actually, one of them is actually standing right there. But they had those kind of like softball type uniforms. That's when they kind of changed their uniform look and everything. But yeah, they had that snap band or the button snap band pants and everything. It was definitely, but it was all like super, just a great look.
They were experimenting with design and color, and it was super cool. Yeah, it's absolutely. And you were talking about, I think it was last week we were talking about the Oriole on the hat. You know, it's correct. Like those uniforms were like a perfect example of like how like bright and just bold everything was, for sure. And orange. I mean, orange isn't a color anymore. And they really embraced like pumpkin orange.
Yeah. There's only one other team that I can think of that uses, well, actually, no, now too. So of course, Baltimore uses orange, black, and white. I believe the Marlins used orange, but I feel the team that uses it most effectively is the San Francisco Giants. If you look at their Friday night uniforms, they're so amazing, and they really harken back to this time. In fact, the design of it is actually from the 70s, but it looks more 80s-ish for sure. So yeah, I love orange as a color for these uniforms because it's just so bold.
It is. Oh yeah, you weren't lying. You were not lying. That is a good use of orange.
Yeah, it's super cool. And if I ever was to get a Giants uniform, I would get that one. It's so cool. Yeah, I think it's actually those uniforms, those orange uniforms, are actually better than the City Connect ones that they use. I'm not a big fan of the San Francisco City Connect ones.
It's pretty underwhelming.
Yeah, but I understand why they kind of went with it, and it's definitely different. It's like the San Diego ones. I feel about the same.
I see. Now that's where I differ from you, because I think the San Diego Padres have the coolest City Connect jerseys.
Yeah, they are definitely super cool. And again, I just haven't. I'm a nostalgic baseball fan, so it's like the fact that they're using kind of the mustard color and the dark green and stuff like that. That's actually where I love it. But they're already using it, so they kind of had to go with something else, and I get it.
So I've got a hot take for you. The best City Connect uniform for Charlie Guzzle's money is the Washington Nationals.
You know, I like those a lot. I think that those are super, very, very interesting and very bold as well. I like those a lot. For me, I think that the White Sox have probably, in my opinion, the top one. I do like the Washington one. I think that they would be more popular and probably more in demand if Washington was actually a strong team. They're unfortunately not. Kansas City's, I think, are pretty interesting, and I'm trying to think of the other one that I really like a lot. Seattle's is actually good. I like what they've kind of done with it. But you're right. I do like the Washington one. It's definitely a color I don't think it's ever been used. That green has never been used.
Right.
All right. So Kevin is going to. This is mine. I'm actually getting ahead of myself. I'm getting ahead of it. We still have to go to July 7th. So here I go with July 7th. Let's do it. July 7th, 2007, Mariners outfielder Ichiro Suzuki records the first inside the park home run in All-Star Game history when he hits a Chris Young fastball into deep right center field at San Francisco's AT&T Park. The fifth inning blast caroms off the park's quirky configuration, getting past National League center fielder Ken Griffey Jr., allowing the American League leadoff hitter, who will be named the game's MVP, to complete his way around the bases for the historic round tripper. Now, Jack, have you ever been to San Francisco's baseball stadium or seen it?
I have not. It is on my list of parks to visit. I will tell you I'll give you a list of the MLB baseball fields that I've been to.
Okay.
Diamondbacks Stadium, Chase Field. That's it.
That is well done.
That's it.
Wow. Well,
I have walked past Angels Stadium where they play.
Past it.
Yeah, I had a romantic afternoon in Anaheim with Kevin once, and we had some taro tea and walked past the stadium.
Look at you guys. Look at so you've been to one National League park and walked past an American League park.
Yes.
So hey, and I'm not gonna harsh you on this. We all have to start somewhere. And I was just thinking about it too, because I think Kevin is now at 18. I'm actually at 22, but it's actually 20 because I think I've been to, it might be actually 19, because I've been to 3 defunct stadiums. I've been to Jack Murphy Stadium, which is no longer there, the Astrodome, and Busch Stadium 2, I think is the other one. So I've actually been to some stadiums that no longer exist. So I think mine's at 19. So I still have 11 to go. But yeah, it's actually it's kind of a cool thing to actually go to all the stadiums. I was supposed to kick off a whole bunch of them off my list during the COVID era, but it's like, sure. They're still there. I'll get to them.
So there's only one other stadium that I really want to go to. I'm cool watching baseball in smaller stadiums and not, I don't want to go to a lot of MLB games, but I would love to go to Fenway.
Yes. Fenway is a must. Definitely. It's one of my favorite ballparks to go to. I've been on the tour. So it's like, I've been there when there's nobody there. I've been there when there's people there. It's just a great, for even a non-baseball fan, there's just so much history right there. And it's so fun to go and experience that. Definitely, I hear great things about Pittsburgh. I'm looking forward to going to Pittsburgh. But if you're going to make one or two in California, I would definitely go to Petco or what's now Oracle Park. This is AT&T Park back then. Oh my gosh. I would say, like, buy a seat in the upper deck so you can see the bay and everything. It is just breathtaking. The beer is great. The food is great. You can smell the garlic fries in the air. It's so great. And actually, my girlfriend and I were there one time in late July. And I'll tell you, Jack, it was absolutely freezing.
Really?
We actually were up there. It was windy and it was freezing. And I did not misspeak when I said July.
Really? Okay. Yes. So what makes the field's configuration so quirky?
the park is actually near the water. So if you've ever seen Barry Bonds, he hits the splashdown ones. The left-handed hitter hits it into the water. So there's the water right there. Okay, and so that it actually is like a brick wall that just goes straight into the outfield. So it's so deep in center field that what they call it triples alley. So it's basically anybody that hits it there, it's like an automatic triple because it's like it's going to bounce off something. So it's just kind of an interesting configuration just because of that brick wall.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll have to bring up some pictures of it, but it is absolutely stunning views. But it makes for interesting baseball.
So it was hit to the kid.
Yeah.
And wow.
And it just caromed all the way to the left. And it was just like this.
So how many inside the park home runs have there been in All-Star game history? If the first one came in 2007, there's only been one.
This is it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
What a record to have, huh?
Yeah. All right. So Kevin is actually going to do our July 8th.
July 8th, 1973, after losing a 17-2 game the day before, and now a doubleheader at County Stadium in Milwaukee, Rangers skipper Whitey Herzog accuses Bernie Brewer of cheating. The very animated Texas skipper contends the Brewers mascot, Bernie, used white-gloved costume hands to relay signs from his center field chalet, clapping once for a curve and twice for a fastball.
Oh, that's brilliant, though. Was that real? Was Bernie on the take?
Okay. I want to say this about, because people like it's now comical to me because people still really want to bash like the Astros, and I get it. I 100% get it. But baseball cheating when it comes to signs is as old as the game. Right. And this is a perfect example of it. This is not proven. This is not something that's like this actually happened. This is again Whitey Herzog saying that like, listen, this guy's doing all this stuff. He's doing weird stuff. I remember like Tony La Russa when he was the manager of the White Sox in the early 80s. He said that there was like these really random lights that were in the outfield, and that's how they were stealing signs. They it was like these certain light configurations would come up during pitches and stuff like that.
Right. So you need a PhD in code breaking to decipher the lights, to decipher the code.
Yeah.
Okay,
And it was just kind of randomly there. And, again, not proven or was it, again, there's tons of stealing. I mean, like, and I can make a case, and I usually do, that stealing signs is not illegal. It's discouraged by the other teams, but not officially illegal in any context. Now, I totally 100% get it when it's like when you're using technology or use. I remember I think the thing with Larusa was,
if you're using a garbage can or a mascot, good on you.
And see, that's the thing. These guys, they're so clever to get to get that, and it's like it's definitely one of those things. And I remember it happened this year with Aaron Judge, he was looking at the first base coach because I think that he was kind of tipping if some signs or, if the pitcher was doing something or whatever. So it's like, everybody has like their little things. It's not, remember there's a lot of gamesmanship here that happens, so I'm not saying that this didn't happen. I'm not saying it happened, but I wouldn't be surprised. And, there's always been, we can, it's every sport. I mean, look at football. Yeah. And it's like, deflate gate, it's like,
right.
They talk about it today, and then the Astros are part of the big cheating scandal. But I mean, this is as old as the game.
Michael, you and I, we've talked baseball for 3 years now. I think that I stand firm on two posts.
Yeah.
Steroids should be allowed in baseball, and so should sign stealing. I mean, come on. Just don't involve a dirty mascot next time. You know what I mean? That's the only... I'm an advocate for stealing signs.
Keep it on the field, and it's obviously you're bringing someone else into it. Obviously, if you're using technology and all these other things. But if
I wouldn't care if somebody got a family member hired into the organization that was on a cell phone giving the signs, just don't use a mascot. And that's based purely on my hatred for mascots. I'm okay with cheating and steroids.
Yeah, it's a little
2024 Cowboy Jack.
Yes. So yeah, they're obviously bringing in another team member into this. So it's definitely, and I get it. And my always thing is, it's like, if people are stealing your signs, change your signs. Like,
right.
It's like, I get it. It's part of baseball, and it's an unwritten rule. So, but
you know what? They once had an unwritten rule that people of color couldn't play on teams. So
yeah,
it's okay to break those unwritten rules sometimes, guys.
Agreed. All right. So, Jack, this is going to be a fun one. I know that you're looking forward to this one.
July 9th, 1966, during a contest between the Cardinals and Astros on a hot and humid evening at Busch Stadium, Harry Carey does the game's play-by-play in just his underwear and socks. Surprised by a photographer taking photos of him, the veteran broadcaster adjusts his boxer's waistband as the camera clicked away, giving us one of the most iconic baseball photos of all time.
Oh, I mean, this...
You can't beat this. Listen.
I agree.
If there's two things I love about baseball, it's Pete Rose and Harry Carey and his boxers. All right? This is fantastic. And just the surprised look on his face. This is one of the most iconic photos in baseball history.
Yes. Yeah. And for a lot of people, Harry Carey is the guy who was the Cubs broadcaster. And actually, that wasn't until the very end of his career. He was actually with the Chicago White Sox. But he's also with before that, he was with the St. Louis Cardinals. And so he actually, I think that I'll just say that he didn't leave St. Louis very favorably. And they did not think very well of him.
Really?
Yes. I believe that he had some relations with some people that he shouldn't have had relations with. I'll say, yes, I believe the daughter of upper management. Let's just say that. I think that there was, yes. So he was a player. He was definitely he was up for some fun, just like the great Cowboy Jack Durango.
Sure. Listen, was she of legal age, and was it consensual? Go for it, Harry Carey. Rock and roll, brother. Let it rip. Okay. I don't care if it's upper management. Get it.
Yeah. Yeah. So he was, but he was found, tremendous popularity in Chicago. Well, first with the White Sox and then with the Cubs. But yeah, he was a Bud man and a Cubs fan. And he liked to live the high life, as it were.
Good for him. Good for him. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, you can see why they used to call Harry Carey the original big unit. Okay, that's where the nickname originated from. God bless you, Harry. Cheers, brother. Packing heat.
Definitely a character of the game, and super fun and fun to listen to too. He would definitely. He was definitely one of those guys who, you listen to the game. He actually knew the game, but also knew how to have a good time. And I just remember him just going on just super crazy tangents.
If you had to list top 3 announcers of all time, would Harry Carey make that list?
Unfortunately, he would not make that list, only because of just my knowledge of baseball.
Sure.
But I will say that if you ask me like most memorable announcers of all time, Harry Carey definitely in the top 3 for sure.
So as I live my life, I've realized it's better to just be remembered than remembered for being one of the greats. So
yes, exactly. It's the same
motto. Absolutely.
It's absolutely the same thing. July 10th, 1984 at San Francisco's Candlestick Park, Dodger left-hander Fernando Valenzuela and Mets rookie Dwight Gooden combined to strike out 6 consecutive American League All-Stars on the 50th anniversary of Carl Hubbell's memorable 1934 Midsummer Classic performance of setting down 5 future Hall of Famers on strikes. At 19, Dwight Gooden becomes the youngest player to participate in an All-Star game. What were you doing at 19, Cowboy Jack Durango?
19 years old. I was building steel buildings. I was drinking enough beer to drown a herd of baby elephants. And I was traveling the world in spandex, wrestling other men with body hitting and baby oil, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Saturday nights were a lot of fun. At night, so Dwight Doc Gooden played in an all-star game at 19.
19.
Is that a record that will ever be matched or duplicated?
I feel that it can be for sure. Will it be?
The amount that they protect players these days, and they're not going to throw a kid out there to become an all-star. Will a kid at 19 in today's baseball have the opportunity to become an all-star?
Well, I go back to this, that why was Jackie Robinson, how was he able to break like the color barrier in baseball?
Because he was good.
Time, like he was so undeniable, right? That he had to be in there, right? He made such an impact on the game that he actually broke through any barriers that were up against him, and especially in baseball at that time, he shattered him, right?
Right.
Dwight Gooden was exactly the same way. He as far as pitchers go, he was bigger, he threw harder, he was just one of those strikeout guys. He was a phenomenon of the game. Okay. So I think that actually had a lot to do with it. He was a young, kind of very marketable pitcher, also playing for New York, and he was mowing them down, and it just seemed like the perfect storm for him. So there's been other pitchers who have come into, I remember like when Steven Strasburg, first came into the league, he had kind of a similar type of kind of hype and everything. But again, I think they treat players a little bit differently now, where they don't give them those types of big. And again, they didn't want to overexpose him, but I feel like Dwight Gooden, having all these things that were undeniable, he was able to handle all that. Eventually, weirdly enough, he did not handle that well in the end of his career. It kind of spiraled out of control. But the fact that he actually had this huge impact on the game, he was perfect for this opportunity.
Do you know offhand how tall Doc Gooden was?
Oh, that's a really good question. I'm going to say 6'4", and I'm going to look it up. It says 6'2", but I
6'2".
Yeah. So
the reason I ask is his right hand holding the baseball.
Yeah.
If you are joining us on YouTube and you can see this photo, his hand dwarfs that baseball. This is a huge man. Look at the grip on that ball.
Yeah.
He's got 2 fingers and a thumb, and the ball is gone. You're seeing a sliver of it. That is a huge man.
Yeah. And so like he can get like all of his whole hand on all the seams. So just getting that cutting action of anything that he throws. And yeah, he was again, just a phenomenon of the game. And definitely just, he was the perfect guy for this role, and definitely again, mowed him down. He was like the Nolan Ryan at the time of
Really?
all this. And again, this was like the era of the big, kind of like the pitcher like this.
The gunslinger, right? Early 80s was the gunslinger era of baseball.
Yeah, because like probably like 4 years earlier, like there was a guy named J.R. Richard, even Fernando Valenzuela, the guy who was going against him. So Fernando was in this game, but also with him. So this was a great time for pitchers during this era. Nolan Ryan was pitching for the Astros, I believe, and so just some great pitching during those days. And it's kind of one of those things that's lost. Like I think a lot of people like hitting more now than pitching.
Sure,
there's some great pitchers during this era.
I love to see early 80s pitching. It's an art form.
Oh yeah. All right, so we're going to end out with some baseball trivia. We're going to test your knowledge of baseball. Cowboy Jack Durango, are you ready? You're taking this solo, so
I'm ready.
I'm ready. Interested in what you're going to answer. We've got 2 questions for you, so let's do it. If you're watching us, definitely put in the comments who you think it is and see if you get it right. We definitely appreciate that. So let's go to question number 1. All right, this Hall of Fame pitcher has exactly 165 wins. Who is he? And here are your choices: Dennis Eckersley, Mariano Rivera, Dizzy Dean, Dazzy Vance, Sandy Koufax, or Candy Cummings. Yes, Candy Cummings is a Hall of Fame baseball pitcher.
We have covered Candy Cummings before, and I know you love a red herring.
Well, this is episode 165, so we're going with 165 in our wins here. So this Hall of Fame pitcher has exactly 165 all-time wins. What are you thinking, Cowboy?
So I know that you like a good red herring, so I think that you put Candy Cummings on the list to tempt me to make a very bad joke. But then I'm seeing some other names. I'm seeing Sandy Koufax. That's a strong contender, but Dennis Eckersley is a dark horse here.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'm going to take. I don't think I'm going to take Sandy or Eckersley.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go with number 2, Mariano Sauce Rivera.
All right. So your choices are Dennis Eckersley, Mariano Rivera, Dizzy Dean, Dazzy Vance, Sandy Koufax, or Candy Cummings. And the answer is, with 165 all-time wins, is Sandy Koufax.
That was the safe bet, dude. That was the safe bet. I should have taken it.
It's okay. Dennis Eckersley is probably known. He was actually at the beginning of his career, he was a starter and actually went into relieving. So if you notice here, a lot of the people on this list, like Mariano Rivera, they were relievers. So Dennis Eckersley and Mariano Rivera relievers. But Sandy Koufax actually retired in his early 30s. So 165 wins is not a lot for a Hall of Fame pitcher. So he actually, but look at his credits there. I mean, like what this guy definitely accomplished.
That's a list of credits. That's a solid list.
That's like 3 people right here. Like it's honestly like his accomplishments before, and like in the early 30s, he retired, which is like, it's nuts.
Right.
Like even his strikeouts, like 2,300, almost 2,400 strikeouts. The ERA of 2.76 is like, it's unheard of how dominant he was. You know,
no, those are stats. I mean, baseball's a game of numbers, and those are some numbers, pal. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he was, they call Steve Carlton lefty. I mean, this guy could have easily been called lefty. And I think people would be okay with it because 4 no-hitters, perfect game. Like it's crazy how dominant he was. And I don't know. I mean, like it might've been said that if he went further in his career, that it might've tarnished his legacy. But again, he's well remembered in the baseball community. So here is question number 2.
This is when I win my money back.
These are the only brother combination to both throw no-hitters. Who are they? Your choices are Dizzy and Paul Dean, Jim and Gaylord Perry, Bob and Ken Forsch, Pedro and Ramon Martinez, Phil and Joe Niekro, or Greg and Mike Maddox.
Huh.
So these two brothers have thrown no-hitters.
I'm honestly surprised that Mike Maddox had a brother that also played baseball. That's shocking. Huh. I mean, Phil and Joe Niekro, that's some talent right there. That's some talent. But is that the red herring on the list?
So I'm going to ask you this question. How many of these players do you know have thrown no-hitters?
Let's see. Out of 12 players, zero. So this is going to be an interesting one.
Yeah.
This is going to be an interesting one.
So this is where Kevin, I feel, would know who had no-hitters and who didn't.
He absolutely would. This is going to be tough. But I think I have it. I'm pretty sure I have the correct answer.
All right. So for those listening, these are the only brother combination to both throw no-hitters. Your choices are Dizzy and Paul Dean, Jim and Gaylord Perry, Bob and Ken Forsch, Pedro and Ramon Martinez, Phil and Joe Niekro, or Greg and Mike Maddox. Cowboy Jack Durango, who do you got?
After a lot of time and consideration, I've arrived at, out of this list, number 4, Los Boricuas, Pedro and Ramon Martinez.
All right. So the answer is, it is actually Bob and Ken Forsch.
Okay. All right. Listen, you can't spring real baseball knowledge when it's just a me and you solo episode, brother. Like, you could just show a picture of somebody and say, is this Ken Forsch? I wouldn't have known.
Yeah. And
solid.
Yeah. And this is where, like, collecting baseball cards, this is probably the reason why I know this. Is because this was always a big thing. I remember Bob Forsch. Following the Cardinals as I did, I always look for Cardinals baseball cards, and then I'm like, oh, he has a brother that plays baseball, and then like in '79 is when I kind of like really got my love for baseball. And I'm like, well, Ken Forsch just pitched a no-hitter, and at the time I didn't know that Bob Forsch actually already had one the year before, and then pitched one in '83. So this was after the Cardinals won the World Series in '82. And
now imagine both of these guys in their teenage years at the dinner table.
Yeah.
How much steak, potatoes, and milk are these guys putting away? And how intense was that sibling rivalry?
And I think I was so happy one time when I think it was the 2011 when the Cardinals won the World Series. They actually brought Bob Forsch out to throw out one of the ceremonial first pitches. Unfortunately, I think he died not soon after that, like maybe like within the month or like a week. It was like, I was like, oh no, that don't make that the last thing I know about
right.
Bob. Yeah, I was like, oh, it's so sad. I was so happy to see him, and then even like more tragic that he passed away shortly after that. That was very, very distressing. This random thing, these two brothers, and they're not really known as kind of like two like top tier players like Gaylord Perry and Pedro Martinez and stuff like that. So it's like but this is a very formidable brother tag team here.
Right. And even Joe and Phil Niekro. I mean, those are they are way more well known than the Forsch brothers.
Yes. Yes. But I love this card. I think it's super cool and very indicative of like old baseball cards and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So I love it. I love it. Well, that is the show we had for you this week. We want to thank you for watching. If you follow us on our socials, we're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. We have a lot of daily content that we put out there. So please give us a like and a follow. We super appreciate it. Jack, any last word before we sign off for this week?
They call us the Diamond Exchange. We are the crown jewel of craft beer and baseball. On a daily basis, we are bringing you amazing entertaining, comedic, and dynamic craft beer and baseball content. We appreciate you being along for the ride, and you're welcome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. We'll definitely have Kevin Lyon back with about his Canada trip. There's so much to talk about, a lot of hopping around, and I'm super excited to hear more about his trip too as well. We've been just getting drips and drabs, but he's been pretty tight-lipped about where secretly he's going beforehand, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, this is like amazing. So I believe that he's going to go to Vancouver as well. So there's so much more to his trip coming up. So I am definitely looking forward to that. Again, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We totally appreciate your support, and we will see you next Tuesday with another Baseball Brew Crew podcast. Good night, everyone. Take care.